Well, hello, it's Karen McDermott Rolfe, independent advisor with Creative Memories, and I'm back with my monthly technique layout and challenge. And I challenge all of you to use this technique to create a layout or two and to share them into my Technique Tuesday number 36 album. You can find that album on my Facebook group at Karen's Croppers. You can also find me at KarenCrops.com. And if you'd like to make a purchase through me, you can do so at creativememories.com/user/Karen, and it's Karen with a Y. And I appreciate all of your orders, and I offer a generous customer rewards program. So let's take a look at the technique that I'm sharing. I'm going to share three different ways to use this technique and get a very different look with each of the different variations. So for the first variation I'm going to share is creating these decorative corner pieces of using the Border Maker system with a Border Maker cartridge. For this example, I've used the new Sandcastle Border Maker cartridge, and I've used the new Sunrays for Days paper and stickers for this layout. So let's take a look at how I created this. I started with two squares that measure 4 inches by 4 inches. And I have the original Border Maker system, and again with that Sandcastle Border Maker cartridge, and I'm just going to insert it into the housing unit. We're not going to use the tray that goes with the Border Maker system this time. We're just going to use this as a handheld unit. So we're going to take our 4 inches by 4 inch square, and we're going to insert it here into the housing unit so it's flush against the back end, so it's tight in there. And then I'm centering it between both sides of the housing unit. So I have an equal distance overhanging. It's going to overhang, about 1/4 of an inch on each side or so. Maybe a little smidge less than 1/4 of an inch. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to eyeball it. And then I'm going to punch. And I'm going to turn it on its side. And I'm going to repeat. So again, my paper is flush to the back side. I've centered my piece and I'm punching. And I'll do that on all 4 sides of the square. But again, just centering it in there so I have about an equal amount of overhang on each side. And I get this little decorative piece. I'm going to take our 12-inch trimmer and I'm going to cut this piece in half on the diagonal. So I'm going to arrange the pointy edge here of the square with the dash cutting line. So I'm both the top edge and the bottom edge. So both of those little points are on the dash cutting line, and I'm going to make my diagonal cut. Whoops. I see it slipped a little bit on me as I cut down to this edge, so I didn't get a sharp point this time. So that could be something to be aware of maybe holding down the arm on your trimmer or holding down the piece a little bit better than I did when you cut. So that way you'll get nice, clean triangles after you cut. So you'll repeat that, and you'll do that with the second 4 inch by 4 inch square. And then you're going to get your little triangle pieces. So isn't that super cute? Super cute, super easy, just a little bit of a different twist with using our Border Maker system. Instead of just punching a straight border all the way across, we've punched around a square, cut them into triangles, and have these very cute little triangle pieces. So to complete my layout, I've layered some of the paper here to create a background. I've added some photo mats. I fussy cut a variety mat to create a journaling space, and then added some stickers here with foam squares. If you'd like to see all the exact measurements and step-by-step instructions, please go to my blog at KarenCrops.com. So my second variation of this technique, whoops, it's upside down. I did the same thing of punching around a square, cutting them into triangles, but I just arranged them differently. I arranged my triangle pieces into a border at the bottom of the page. So again, just as a refresher, let's cut those pieces. And again, I'm starting with a 4" by 4" square, and I'm centering it in the housing unit. Oh, look what I did. I forgot to change out my Border Maker cartridge. This time I wanted to use the Flourish Vine Border Maker cartridge. This is a really pretty cartridge. Might be one of my, well, it is one of my very favorites, if not my favorite Border Maker cartridge. So again, I'm going to do the same thing by just centering the square and punching. And we'll punch all 4 sides. And then again, we're going to cut on the diagonal. And we'll just have to pretend that one side was punched with the Flourish Vine. This time I held it down a little tighter. You see where my hand is? And it did not slip on me, and I got nice sharp corners. But here I have a full triangle piece. So I did that with 2 squares, and then I arranged my triangles. I started with the one in the center, and then adhered them side by side, going the opposite direction. I left a little space in between. Now to get my little pieces here that are on both edges, you'll notice they're a little bit smaller. So I just took one of these larger triangles and I cut it in half by putting the straight edge against the ruler of the trimmer, the pointed top on the dash cutting line, and cut. And then I've got a smaller piece. So instead of my larger triangles, I have 2 smaller ones. And those formed these edge pieces here on the sides. Okay? Super easy, super quick, just a pretty little variation. Now, of course, this Flourish Vine, as I mentioned, is so beautiful that just using it in the traditional way of using the tray of the Border Maker system, you know, inserting your paper in the tray, punching along the edge, gives you a pretty little border too. So just a simple, beautiful border. And I added a strip here that's 12 inches by a 1/4 inch, just to kind of give it a little bit extra frame. And then I've added some embellishments and stickers. And these papers and stickers are from the Our Moments collection. Very beautiful. Then my third example of this technique is an example that I shared last week with Creative Life Scrapbooking on Facebook. And you can find us on Facebook at Creative Life Scrapbooking. And I did the same technique, but I kept the squares whole. I did not cut them on the diagonal. And I started out with smaller sized squares. So that way I punched a contiguous pattern around in my square. So this time I started with a 3.5 by 3.5 square. So again, that's 3.5 by 3.5. And I'm using the Flourish Vine Border Maker cartridge. Now 3.5 fits in this housing unit perfectly. See that? There's no overhang. So it's just centered in there perfect. So again, it's flush to the back and it's centered. And I'm going to punch all 4 sides. And then I get this pretty little piece. And you can see here, when I used it on my layout, I did cut some little squares and added those just as a little filler, again, to add some more color, a different pattern of paper. So very pretty. So a fun, different way to use the Border Maker system and the Border Maker cartridges. I love, love, love when we can use our tools in multiple ways and get more utility from them. So instead of just punching, you know, a straight border, we can make these pretty little pieces that can give us a whole different look with the Border Maker system. So again, I challenge you to use this technique and create your own layout and share it with me on Karen's Croppers in Facebook for an entry into my June door prize drawing. And I would just love to see your variations and love to see all of the different layouts that all of you come up with by using this technique. So thanks so much for visiting with me today now.